When I was a child, I basically read whatever I could get my hands on. That often meant that I was sneaking Stephen King books off my father's bookshelves, and I also read a lot of Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. My grandmother would go to thrift stores. She would always bring something home for me that she thought I would enjoy. So, despite the fact that I came from a family of non-readers for the most part, I did have things that I could pick up and look at. I actually don't remember being read to as a child. I'm sure that I must have been, but it's just not something that I remember. I was so ignorant about the breadth of the world of literature that the only goal that I actually remember from my childhood was to read every single book that had ever been written. The first time that I stepped into a library was when I was an adult, and we didn't have much disposable income when I was growing up. We actually went bankrupt when I was in elementary school, so book shopping wasn't really a thing for me. It was really just whatever I could get my hands on. Like for so many other people, reading was really an escape for me. I loved time travel books, specifically the book Charlotte Sometimes by Penelope Farmer. And in that book, the main character has a bed, and the bed serves as a portal to another time. And I would spend hours imagining that my own bed could take me away from the realities that I was facing at home, losing my home and other things. So I threw myself into books, and I basically only resurfaced when I went away to college. As an adult, I have gone through a lot of different reading phases. I have loved historical fiction and nonfiction the most, probably. I absolutely love a true survival story and crying. I love a book that will wreck me. I've always been drawn to physical books. I occasionally will listen to an audiobook, but I'm picky, and I need a narrator that will really grab me, and I don't find that all that often. I've never owned an e-reader. In 2020, I did pick up some ebooks that I would get from my local library because, as I'm sure you're aware, the physical library was closed, and it seemed like the best way for me to reliably get more books for myself and my children, who are also voracious readers, was by borrowing these ebooks. But without an e-reader, I'm just reading it on my phone, and that is way less satisfying for me than a physical book. Something that I really love to do when I'm reading is to gauge my reading progress by watching my bookmark move through the pages when I glance at the top of the book. And if I can't do that, reading is just not as fun. Currently, I do read less than I did as a child, but more than I have at other times in my life. There have been 2 times in my life that reading has really taken a backseat. The first was when I picked up knitting, and I quickly found that simultaneously knitting and reading was just not feasible for me. This would have been the perfect time to get into audiobooks, but I really like to knit intricate patterns, and those require a lot of thought, and I've just never been able to make it work. The second time that I slowed down my reading coincided with the birth of my twins. Surprise. Though I have always loved physical books, I haven't always gotten them in the same way. So as a child, it was tag sales and thrift stores, but now as an adult, since I have finally found the joy of a library, I mostly get my books from local libraries, and I also get them from little free libraries. One day, I would love to have a home library, but for now, once I read a book, back out it goes. Booktube has definitely changed me as a reader. It has helped me to remember the books that I read. I have never been part of a book club, so talking about books that I'm reading is brand new for me, and it is a challenge that is strengthening my retention and my comprehension. At least that's what I like to tell myself. I actually take notes while reading now so that I will remember key points that I really want to hit in my reviews, and I stretch myself to read things that other people have loved and recommended. This can often mean that I'm stepping outside of my usual genres. I think that that's always a positive development, and even if I don't end up enjoying the book, I have learned something and I've stretched myself, and I will take that any day. Thank you so much, Jack at Spread Book Joy, for creating this tag and tagging me. It has been a lot of fun to think about my reading life over the years and put it into words.